I'd like to start this video as the date of this video, thanking the Republican Party, which is really, really strange for me uh, because I loathe everything they stand for. And frankly, I think that the Republican Party in the United States is the biggest existential threat to human civilization and most species on Earth, since they deny climate, are the number one warmongers on Earth, and have given birth to this new white nationalism that's spreading across the globe. But I have to actually thank the Republicans. They're doing the nicest thing that they have ever done in the last 60 years since the civil rights movement, when Republicans weren't as racist as the Democrats and voted a higher percentage for civil rights than Democrats. It was basically a northern and western and midwestern vote. It was a regional vote. It wasn't so much a party line vote. They're killing their own awful, atrocious, terrorist voters. Right now, as we speak, the top 10 and the vast majority of the top 20 states where with COVID infection rates and people not getting vaccinated and death rates and cases from COVID are all Republican states. All of them. Most of them in the South, but not exclusively, but almost entirely Republican states. And two of the Democratic states that I'm calling Democratic aren't really that Democratic. They're reddish purple. Arizona being one of them. That's like one of the first, states that voted for Biden. I think might be the first one that is in the top 20 for COVID infection and death. Call it Schadenfreude, whatever you want to call it. Watching Republican misinformation that kill their own supporters and base, and watching the Republicans use it as a tactic shows how little regard they have for anyone or anything, even their own voters. Right now, all the states that are running hot with the Delta variant are Republican states: Louisiana, Texas, Florida, South Dakota, the usual suspects. And I was interested. I even looked further. And this is the perfect example of how everything the left and liberals have been saying is correct, and how climate is dangerous and will be a killer. Wildfires are in the area I live in, the Oregon area. I live in southern Washington, but in the state of Oregon, 650% increase in the tendency for giant wildfires in the last 20 years, 30 years. Just bizarre conspiracy theories that they use. All of these things: guns killing people, climate killing people, people needing to wear masks, people needing to get shots. All these things that liberals have said has proven itself out. Because I went on and I went beyond COVID and I looked at the complete life expectancy number, and I was shocked. The top 10, 20 states for people dying quicker, having lower life expectancy, actually living less, were all Republican states. Most of them in the South. West Virginia led the lead, not surprisingly. And you would think, they keep talking about the immigrants coming in and being murderers and rapists and bringing in all kinds of disease. But it's actually the states with the lowest percentage of immigrants that have the most welfare recipients. And a lot of them are, like West Virginia, almost totally white. Most welfare recipients, lowest life expectancy, highest infant mortality. The Republicans kill their own voters, and these stupid sheep, these moronic, bigot, parasite idiots known as Republican voters take it. This is how stunning it is. In West Virginia, your life expectancy is 7 years less than if you lived in California or Hawaii. That means living in a Republican state could cost you 10% or more of your life. So it is, guns do kill people. Climate does kill people. Toxic pollution is bad in people's drinking water. Wearing a mask is good. Vaccine and scientists, everything scientists have predicted about climate has come true. I remember they taught us when we were in schools. Rising ocean levels, rising ocean temperatures, melting polar ice caps, worse seasonal storms, worse wildfires, worse droughts, desertification of some areas. All of these things. Not one thing the climate deniers of the Republican Party said has come true. Not one thing. Not one prediction of the vax deniers has come true. And right now we're seeing it, and I'm not sad. Thank you, Republicans. Killing your own garbage of a demographic who supports you, the paranoid white bigot, predominantly in the South and rural areas, is maybe the best thing you guys have ever done for America in 60 years. These people are the most dangerous demographic, the biggest existential threat on the planet, and they're cannibalizing themselves to cover up for Trump's massive COVID debacle. This is how much they're into the death cult of Trump. They're sacrificing themselves to their God. They're literally killing themselves and their own kids because of Republican, their loyalty to Republican misinformation. Same thing with economics. They have the highest poverty rates because their state governments are completely underfunded because they bought into the bullshit Republican idea that government spending doesn't create jobs. Yes, it does. Private contracts, jobs, it creates a ton of them. But the Republicans say it doesn't, and instead tax cuts to people sitting on piles of cash supposedly create jobs. So we've seen these states can't complain that they're neglected by Washington. West Virginia, Alabama, Louisiana, they get $2.50 of federal subsidy for every dollar tax paid. And they're still dead broke because they underfund their local and state governments, rely on the feds, and are complete parasites and don't follow Republican misinformation and kill themselves. And I, for one, hope that they do it more rapidly between now and the midterms. I think demographically and historically, the trend already was for the stupid white bigot voter that votes Republican who has no education to be dying down as college-educated whites, increase, single women, professionals, minorities. These demographics are growing. The dumb pig shit farmer, who loves his guns and his Bible and doesn't like foreigners. Those motherfuckers are dying out, thankfully, just not fast enough. But COVID is accelerating that trend. We know that the white population as a percentage of the electorate for the last 20, 30 years has been shrinking every 4-year election about 2%. So like last election, it was about 70% as a white electorate. In 4 years' time, it will be like 68%, 69%. And that's about the only people that vote Republican, and a large percentage who are sane white people who aren't racist bigots don't vote Republican. Not the majority, unfortunately, but a significant plurality. So all of their demographics are shrinking, and they're speeding it up with COVID and their stupid laws and their own stupid. Having a Republican governor, it could be lowers your life expectancy. So it's just thank you, GOP. It would be my dream that a lot of you go and meet Lucifer prior to the next midterms, hopefully by the next midterms, and it continues this pattern of killing yourselves based on your own misinformation. Thanks. And that's the end of that for today.